Finally, Aquaman's getting his own movie. You hear that? It's the sound of millions of comic book fans rejoicing. With such a heavy hitter like Jason Momoa adding much needed star power to the lead role, what could go wrong? So, to prepare you, here are 10 things you need to know about the new Aquaman movie. Before we make a splash into these facts, please take a moment to subscribe for more from CBR. Now let's get started.
I am Arthur of Atlantis.
Who is Aquaman? Maybe you know the whole Aquaman canon from the comic books, or maybe you just briefly remember his animated character from watching Sunday morning Justice League Unlimited cartoons. Whatever your level of familiarity is, we're gonna give you a crash course on who this fishy guy is. Aquaman exists in the sunken mythical world called Atlantis in the DC universe. He has a few different origin stories to choose from, so here are the most famous ones. A. He's either the son of an underwater explorer who rediscovered and abandoned Atlantis and taught his boy the tricks to survive there, or B. He's Arthur Curry, the son of a lighthouse keeper and an outcast Atlantean with amazing abilities from birth. Or C. He's Orin, the abandoned son of a wizard and queen from Atlantis, who was then raised by a lighthouse keeper. Or finally D. There's the theory that he's Arthur Joseph Curry, a completely different and comparatively short-lived dude who had a big old sword. And though we're not sure about how much of his origin story will actually make it into the final cut of the film, either way, we're pretty certain we will be seeing some cool marine life superpowers in action, right? It just has to happen. It's Aquaman. Now, of course, we're all familiar with Aquaman's powers, such as superhuman strength, super speedy swimming, lightning-fast reflexes, telepathic control of marine life, the ability to survive underwater or on land, enhanced healing skills, and he's telepathic above water as well. Sounds like a winning combination to me.
Arthur Curry, the Aquaman.
Cast. As you can probably tell, we're beyond excited to see Jason Momoa as Aquaman, but what about the rest of the film? Turns out, to no one's surprise, that the supporting cast is straight up baller. Amber Heard will be co-starring as Aquaman's love interest, Mera, who eventually becomes the Queen of Atlantis. If you're familiar with Aquaman's background in the comic, you know that Mera is a very talented superhero herself. In the comics, at least, they eventually have a son, Arthur Curry Jr., but we'll see if DC saves that storyline for Aquaman too, because we would really love to see the Aquaman storyline continue. Meanwhile, Nicole Kidman will be playing Aquaman's mom, Atlana. Kidman said that it was her friendship with director Wan and the ability to play a mermaid warrior is what led her to take this role. Patrick Wilson is slated to be playing Orm. Orm is a full-blooded Atlantean who grows resentful of Arthur Curry when his brother returns and rightfully dethrones him. Basically, this means another villain for the movie. Next up on the bill is Willem Dafoe, who is starring as Aquaman's advisor Dr. Volko, who is the scientific and political advisor of the King of Atlantis. He was supposed to make his first appearance as this character during Justice League, but his scenes were left on the cutting room floor after they realized there was not enough time for his plot. Not to fear, he will have plenty of screen time in Aquaman.
Bringing you what you've always wanted.
Michael Beach will be playing Jesse Kane in the film. Kane will be part of a group of high seas hijackers in the movie, and his membership in that group will somehow lead him to have what's being called a fateful interaction with the underseas hero. These details have led many fans to speculate that he will actually be the father to Black Manta, since that character was a treasure hunter in the comics. But neither Beach nor anyone else associated with the film have confirmed that at this point. Dolph Lundgren will be joining the cast as King Nereus. In comic lore, Nereus is the ruler of another aquatic kingdom, Zebel, which is where Mera is actually from. While Mera and Nereus were former lovers in the comics, for the purpose of this movie, their relationship will, instead, be as father and daughter. Kinda creepy? Maybe, at least if you're a fan of the old comics. The character is quite villainous historically, but James Wan has gone on record noting that this version of Nereus will not be quite a villain. So we'll see how the character works out in the movie. And Randall Park from Fresh Off the Boat fame will be playing Stephen Shin. In the comics, Arthur's father took him to Dr. Shin, the world's foremost expert on Atlantis, and he helped the youngster develop his special skills. But later, when Arthur refused to tell Shin where Atlantis was, the doctor tried to kill him. Eventually, though, Shin did become an actually ally to Arthur again, so it'll be interesting to see how Aquaman uses him. Ludi Lin will be playing Merc. The comic book version of Merc is the leader of the Men of War, the main army of Atlantis, and also serves as a close ally to Aquaman. The character was just introduced in the comics a few years ago, though, so the film will have a lot of leeway with how Merc is characterized, which should be a lot of fun for the audience. I mean, come on, is that not an amazing cast or what?
This isn't the plan.
No, Master Wayne.
This is the team.
The creative team. It was originally said that the Aquaman script was being penned by two competing writers, Will Beall from Gangster Squad and Kurt Johnstad from 300. But as it turns out, Warner Brothers then went a different direction for the final draft and hired David Leslie Johnson to wrap up the screenplay. The only thing left unclear now is whether he created a whole new script or revised one of the previous drafts. And if you're wondering why Warner Bros. Went with David Johnson, it may be because his resume includes big-name projects such as The Conjuring 2, The Enfield Poltergeist, Orphan, Wrath of the Titans, and The Walking Dead. Quite the resume if we do say so ourselves. And interestingly enough, Aquaman will reunite David Leslie Johnson with director James Wan, both of which worked on The Conjuring 2 and 3.
Ride ain't over yet.
My man.
Who is the villain? We can for sure say that it looks like Aquaman's primary foe in this movie will be Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. You may remember him as the pimping, disco-loving mama's boy from Netflix' The Get Down. Over the years in comic book history, Black Manta has had several origin stories, just like Aquaman. DC currently describes Black Manta as the person who accidentally killed Aquaman's father, thus causing Aquaman to kill Black Manta's father, making them lifelong foes. Can you say serious daddy problems? It's not sure what Black Manta's story will be like in the movie, but he won't be acting alone. There will be other villains such as Orm, Aquaman's half-brother, who we mentioned before in this list. Monsters? One thing we're really excited for is that we haven't seen much of Aquaman's world yet, which begs the question, what could possibly be happening under the sea in Atlantis? Director Wan says he plans to bring some of his well-known horror sensibilities to the movie, specifically with the inclusion of some interesting sea creatures. Heck yes! Wan said, "There's always something kind of cool about Aquaman still, the idea of creating a huge world that is on our planet. That's the thing about Aquaman that's cool, is he's not an alien, right? He's from our planet, and he's from a society that we're not privy to in the context of the story. Isn't it crazy to think that we've explored space more than we've explored the depths of our ocean? That just fires up my imagination about potential sea monsters and cool creatures, that kind of stuff. Please, 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 please give us cool sea monsters. At least with Wan at the helm, we're confident that we can expect great things from this Aquaman universe and whatever sea life lurks around in it." Tone. We all remember when critics got on Batman v Superman for being way too dark and self-serious. Luckily for this project, it seems like we can expect a much lighter, fun, and yet still highly adventurous feel from DC. And honestly, us superhero movie fans need it after Marvel's Infinity War. In regards to the feel of the movie, director Wan said he thinks the aquatic adventures of Aquaman will set it apart from other comic book-inspired movies. Wan goes on to say, "There are so many superhero movies now. I don't want to make a superhero movie now for the sake of doing it, but there's something unique to the world of Aquaman. There's a reason why they've never made a movie about this until now, because technology has never allowed us to tackle something this complicated. And so, because of that, it feels like something different, and that uniqueness is what I'm excited about. Can we say we're excited too? Even if the movie is like 95% water CGI.
All right.
Follow-up to Justice League. Momoa made his first debut as Aquaman in 2016's superhero battle movie, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. He then reprised the role in Justice League in 2017, prior to his own adventures in the Aquaman solo movie, due in theaters December 21st, 2018. Despite most fans feeling like Justice League was a major letdown, fans still like Aquaman enough to eagerly await his own movie. With such disappointing shoes to fill, let's hope this movie can leave a better impression than Justice League did.
Glad I didn't miss this.
So am I.
Origin story. So far, not much is known about the storyline for the Aquaman movie, but it was revealed that it won't be a straightforward origin story. Instead, both Aquaman and the Flash will pick up after the events of Justice League, and will continue their own stories from there. Of course, Flash is getting his own movie, but sources say that both movies will fit together to create one overarching storyline. Where does Aquaman fit in the DC world? Good question. Now that we know that Aquaman takes place sometime after Justice League, DC producer Charles Roven also recently made it abundantly clear that future DC films may follow the example set by Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman and include a number of flashback sequences to flesh out the overall mythology of the live-action DC universe. Thank goodness, because we live for backstory. On that note, while the main Aquaman story will take place after the central team of DC superheroes has assembled to take down Steppenwolf, the film will also include flashbacks to a time when the world didn't actually know about the underwater realm of Atlantis.
The ocean's rage.
And they came.
Release and rating. So far, Aquaman has experienced a number of shifts and changes to its release date since it was first announced. Surprisingly enough, the film has managed to remain far more stable than other DC projects currently on the horizon. The film was originally slated to hit theaters in summer 2018, but was subsequently pushed back to fall and then pushed back again to winter, which leaves it scheduled to hit theaters on December 21st, 2018. Fingers are crossed that there isn't any more major setbacks. That said, this is DC, so anything can happen at any time. Word on the street is that the WB is actually genuinely considering the possibility of an R-rated DC movie, particularly after the success of Logan. It doesn't seem likely that Aquaman will be that film, because it seems far more likely that a villain-centric movie like Suicide Squad 2 or even Gotham City Sirens will receive that particular honor. Since Aquaman is a globe-trotting and a big-budget VFX adventure, it seems like a smarter stylistic choice to stay with a more sanitized story. Arthur Curry is one of DC's more brutal and badass heroes, but you shouldn't expect Aquaman to go any further than a PG-13 rating when it finally hits theaters. So bring the fam or a parent.
I think that was beautiful.
And there you have it. That's all that we know so far about the Aquaman movie. From what we found, it has plenty of potential to be a seriously solid movie. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to CBR for more great videos just like this one. Bye for now.